even our idea in and of itself is very weird. It's very niche. Yeah, it still makes money, right?
What is your current client acquisition?
In the first month, we hit 2K MRR, second 4K MRR, third month we were at pretty close to 10K MRR, and then blew past 16K MRR already on the fourth month.
Did you mostly focus on outbound, or was it mostly inbound through brand?
We focused a lot on, still to this day, we focus a lot on
What has been the best day?
like a, so we just like 4x that overnight.
Let's say a person is starting a SaaS from scratch. Would you say they should focus on the product first, or do you think marketing, sales, offer is way more important than the product?
Definitely focus on first. One way you can really test if someone would pay for something is just, and they say yes. So if you get like a bunch of responses off that, you're like, holy crap, this is the winner here.
If you had one advice to give to a SaaS entrepreneur that's just beginning, what is that one piece of advice you'll give? So everybody, we're here with Caduce from Infomail. So I guess tell me a little bit more about yourself. Tell me a little bit more about how you started Infomail, and we could take it from there.
For sure, for sure. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Norman. I appreciate it. So just getting into it, high level overview. Just been an entrepreneur really for as long as I can remember. From selling t-shirts to trying out, trying to be a content creator, going for trading. I wanted to be a trader, going into NFTs, and then now finally, getting into the agency game, then finally Infomail, which is the B2B SaaS that we run. So Infomail is essentially a B2B SaaS platform that allows agencies, B2B agencies selling high ticket services to scale their cold email outreach with reliable cold email infrastructure. So what we provide is essentially servers and things like that to send cold emails on. I always try to explain it in a way where people it's kind of hard because it's so niche that some people will kind of understand what I'm saying, and then some people will be like, you need to explain a little bit more. So hopefully that kind of lays it out. It's just an email marketing software platform.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a proud user of Infomail. I signed up 2 weeks ago. It's been doing pretty well. So I guess for you, you started off you've always been an entrepreneur. And did you ever get into agency space, or how did you come up with the idea of Infomail?
Yeah. So I was in the agency space briefly. I never even ran an agency super crazy. What ended up happening was right after I graduated college, I wanted to be an entrepreneur essentially. So like 4 months before that, I was coming up to graduation. So I saved up a bunch of money within those 4 months. And I was like, I'm just gonna graduate, go to Mexico, and then try out, an online business basically. And then shortly before that is when I found Iman's little VSL, and it was really good. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna start an agency. And then I only signed one client for my agency. He was paying like $3,300 per month, which is really cool. That's what kind of showed me that that's what showed me that online money exists. And then after that, I started booking a ton of appointments, and essentially I was like, all right, this is a pretty clear path to like 10K per month, because I had so many appointments. I just started giving them to people. And that's when I was like slowly transitioning into Infomail. I saw the cold email issue. I was interested in software more so than agency services. So then I jumped into that with Aman, which is basically like he's my god brother. We've been family for a super long time. So we jumped in it together. He developed it. I started, growing it, scaling it essentially, and then we became two in tandem.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess whenever you first started off, did you struggle with product market fit in the beginning, or was it just right off the gates, everybody signing up?
Yeah, so product market fit, I would say we probably still don't even have product market fit, because usually when you have product market fit is when you scale really, really, really hard. So, and it's actually very normal for companies in the $1-3 million a year range to not even have product market fit yet. So yeah, I mean, we don't have product market fit currently, but in the beginning when we did start signing clients, it was actually fairly easy because we were the first to market, and because we were the first to market, it was essentially very easy to grab the market share during that time, and have a very loyal I would say loyal user base and people that knew us for the cold email infrastructure software, people that know me as well. So it was pretty easy in the beginning because no one else was offering what we offer essentially, but not necessarily because we didn't have product. We had product market fit.
Got it. And I guess for you to acquire the first 10 or 20 customers, Did you mostly focus on outbound, or was it mostly inbound through brand, or how did that work?
Yeah, so the way that it worked is we focused a lot on outbound. Still to this day, we focus a lot on outbound. So outbound was the biggest driver for us. Like in the first month we hit 2K MRR, second 4K MRR, third month we were at pretty close to 10K MRR, and then blew past 16K MRR already on the fourth month. So that's not very normal growth for a SaaS company. And like I said, it was essentially cold outbound. So we didn't have product market fit. We were just DMing anyone that we thought was viable and to use the product. And after a while, that's when inbound started kicking in, because word of mouth got around. We started getting invites from like these email group chats or whatever of people like using software. And then our brand started to become well known in the space. Yeah, so the inbound started kicking in after we did a lot of outbound. I would say we sent, and to give you an idea of the volume, we were at one point we were sending 800 DMs per day to people. So it was we were going through groups and groups of Facebook groups of people, telling them about what we had.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I probably got 2 or 3 of those DMs on my side as well. In the cold email space.
We were going crazy on that.
Yeah. And I guess what inspired you to start a SaaS? Were you part of the indie hacker on Twitter, or was it like mostly the money Twitter?
It was money Twitter. So I'm not a developer. It was mostly because my background, of course, was information technology, like when I graduated, and I've done some development, not really, I didn't really like it too much. I wouldn't qualify myself as an engineer at all. But what drew me to software is just software itself. Like I love tech. I love new phones. I love new computers. I love using new software, subscribing to new software, anything that makes my life easier. That software I love. I don't know why. It's just beautiful. So that's why I wanted to open it up. And that's why I wanted to jump into a project like that. And it was mostly the Money Twitter group, because the Indie Hackers group is very niche to developers. The Money Twitter group is very niche to just money in general. I kind of fell into that group. And then I did know about the Indie Hackers group. I still followed Mark Liu and Levels and the people there, but didn't really resonate with them as much.
Yeah. In my opinion, I come from a background of being a developer, right? So the first thing I hopped on whenever I joined Twitter was Indie Hacker Group. And then I transitioned into Money Twitter. But with the Indie Hacker Group, one thing I've noticed in the community is a lot of people just focus on just creating a product and hoping that people buy it. Right. And then they price it like super low, where it doesn't make ROI for the client. Like for you, like I'm saving a lot of money by not buying Google Workspaces, $6 per domain or per user for Google Workspaces, right? It's just like a flat fee for you. And I could scale that to the moon if I wanted to run large amounts of cold outbound. But in terms of like the Indie Hacker Group, I noticed a lot of people, they just like post on Twitter or they post on Reddit. It's like, I launched this product, and then they give maybe 2 likes. And then on your side, I like how you did like a lot of cold outbound, because I think with Money Twitter, it's like, how do we collect cash, right? Because cash will fuel the business and actually grow it, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I think the reason why I started a newsletter for anyone that's interested in joining. If anyone hears this and is interested, you can go and check it out at bitbankclub.com. You have to apply, and it has to be either growing or building a SaaS. But the reason I did that is because I saw a bunch of people on the Indie Hackers group that just didn't really know about outbound or any of the scheme that Money Twitter knows about. They know a bunch of stuff about, the like outbound and how to sell people and offers and everything. And Indie Hackers knew how to build great stuff. And if you took those two people, those two archetypes together, a builder and a grower, then you have like a really, really amazing thing. So I thought they were missing that. Like they're missing that completely. So that I started that newsletter, bitbankclub.com. You could check it out. Anyone that's building or growing a SaaS, I think there's a bunch of information, because I update information. I write a lot in there every week about how we collected, a bunch of cash up front, which Money Twitter does. For example, I wrote about how we collected 10K in a day recently. So there's a lot of ways to do that with SaaS. So you can really just follow that newsletter, and you can just see what we were doing wrong, what we're doing right. I also, give them a lot of, I'm very transparent. Like we've lost like 30% of revenue out 1 month. So I was transparent about that and how we're fixing it. So there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Awesome. Yeah, like for me, when I started two SaaSes in the past, right? And then I knew nothing about marketing. I'm like, okay, I'll build it and people will come. But since then, I learned more. I started a marketing agency. So I started actually learning sales, what is a good offer in terms of SaaS. And I started selling SaaS. So I think for a lot of indie hackers, it's probably better to just know how to actually grow a business, right? It's like you need a good offer, you need volume, you need people knowing about your product. You need to gather attention, whatever way you can. Like, is it content? Is it ads? Is it cold outbound? For most beginners, I would probably recommend like cold outbound because it's just like more so inputs, more people will know about it. For you, like you're sending 800 DMs, 800 people will know about your SaaS per day, right? All indie hackers, like you can't really control how many people view your Reddit post. Like maybe 2 people viewed it.
Yeah, 100%, exactly. So that's a huge differentiator, and also whether you build a B2B SaaS or a B2C SaaS, I think that's a huge differentiator. Two categories that are drastically different when it comes to growth. So if you're going to choose to build something, you should build something around your skill set. Like, do you want to create content? Maybe you should build a B2C SaaS. Do you want to do a bunch of outreach and do more business growth? I would say outbound growth and stuff like that. Then you should probably go with B2B.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was in Rio for a little bit. I was talking to some buddies. They're growing a B2C SaaS. I met them in a hostel. It's a water app.
Rio where?
Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
Oh, in Brazil.
Yeah, and then they're growing a water app. I think at the time he was at 20K MRR. And probably right now he's probably like 50, 60K. I don't even know how much revenue he's currently doing now. But it's all organic TikTok because it's a B2C app. So it's like $50 per year. Annual subscription. And then he just blows that up with TikTok, organic TikToks.
That's really interesting. A water app. There's a lot of apps. That's what I realized also. If you go to Indie Hackers, the site, you could literally look at all the apps, public information of how much they make. We're up there, so people don't think we're grifting. But there's a lot of projects. There's a lot of projects up there where it literally shows you like, how much money a company makes, and it's like all these weird ideas. And even our idea in and of itself is very weird. It's very niche, but yeah, it still makes money, right? So it's not. I would just say you could really build anything. It's just about knowing what to build, and you figure that out by talking to people,
Yeah, for sure. I guess for you, what is your current client acquisition? Because I know you started off with Facebook groups, Facebook DMs, and I guess how has it transitioned since you first started versus now? Or you're doing more so of the same?
Yeah, so back then we were doing Facebook DMs, we did cold email, and we still continue to do cold email. We still continue to do Facebook DMs. We added on LinkedIn DMs. So a lot of outbound, and we do paid ads. So the paid ads we are still in the process of cracking. I kind of understand how we should do it. I'm trying to do it the harder way, but it's that's basically how we do it. We use basically a lot of channels: LinkedIn, Facebook, cold email, and paid ads.
Awesome. And I guess what is the end goal with Informail? Like, are you building it to sell, or are you just growing it to as big as possible? What is the end goal for you?
Yeah, for me, I would say I want to build it to a point where I can hand it off as a strategic acquisition to a company that can kind of grow it exponentially faster and also add a lot to it with a really good team. I think Informail and all these email companies require big teams. As far as like service providers, email service providers. If you're like an email sending platform, you might not need a huge team, not as big as a ESP one. So I'm. For now, my plan is to scale it and do the best that I can for the people that we have. But then at the end, the ultimate end goal is definitely to have someone acquire it on a strategic buyout or of some sort.
Awesome. And I guess one fun question is, what has been the worst day of Informail that you had since starting it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, it's a pretty long story, and I actually one of our friends, JN, was like, once I told him the story, he thought it was the craziest thing. I told another friend he thought it was the craziest thing, and JN was like, dude, you got to reserve that story for when I start my podcast. But I'll give you a TLDR. Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening is when we were at 30K MRR last year, I quit my job. I quit a really good sales job that I had. that was paying like, you know, 6 figures a year. My god brother, 6 figures a year, quit his job. So we were quitting this job, working on this project that was paying us way less, you know, of course, than we would have made working jobs. And at that current moment, and we were at like 30K MRR, and basically our dependency, if you want to call it that, which it is, a dependency and backend provider that we had to run our whole system and our whole app, basically, essentially kicked everybody off and kicked us off on a very abrupt day. And it was just like, all right, guys, like, you're done. And they didn't give us any warning. They didn't do anything. So for 2 months, believe it or not, our software was just not working as like properly. It was literally just going on a downhill trend of them kicking people off one by one on a daily basis. And at one point, for like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, it was like down for everybody. So it was a pretty crazy time. It was a really, really crazy time. We got out of it, and that was, you know, through hell and high water. But yeah, there's a lot of things that happen, and shutting down for 2 months or a month and a half is basically one of them. You know, we had to do a lot of shit to get out of that and make it function and make it thrive, and then at least allow it to live and survive to today, until today. You know. Yeah.
And I guess the follow-up question is, what has been the best day after all of that?
The best day, I would say the best day. I don't think it would be tied to money. The one I remember the most, because we've had some big days at Inframed. Recently, the 10K day one was the biggest because we had a high ticket offer. But I would say the day that I really felt happy was when we, I mean, essentially during that whole growth period, I felt really, it was very exhilarating to just see, you know, your MRR double month after month. Mm-hmm. But I think the day that I remember specifically was when I think we had like a 6K day, but a ton of people. We had like 20 something new users sign up in a day. And that maybe, I mean, for someone maybe like, that doesn't really matter, or maybe they don't care. But what usually we kept having like a trickle effect of like 3, 4, 5 people sign up, maybe 6 on a good day. So we just like 4x that essentially, you know, overnight. And then we had 20 people sign up, and a bunch of people were buying domains or whatever. And that was a huge day that I remember where I was like, holy crap, like, I think this is going somewhere, because 20 people signed up and we don't even know where they came from. It was that whole effect of all the outbound that we did, and everyone, you know, the word of mouth, all of it just hit on that day for some reason. And it had like, we had 20 new users. So that was the day that I remember I got super hyped about that.
Awesome. And I guess right now, if you were to restart Inframail, would you do anything different in terms of how you started it, or would you keep things the same?
There's definitely a lot of things I would do differently. Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah. I mean, man, there's a lot of things I learned running this, because this is a full-fledged company that I ran, basically from, you know, in totality, essentially, like with hiring and growing and being part of building the product, all that stuff. It's a very niche one, I guess, a very niche change that I would make. I wouldn't really change a lot of things, but the one thing I would change is probably, I don't know, honestly. It's hard to say. I'm not sure what I would change, because there was so many reasons for why things happened looking back. I'm not sure if I would change anything, to be honest. I'm not sure if I would change anything.
Yeah, maybe we could look back in 5 to 10 years once you get acquired and said, oh, we should have done this, or I think everything went well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you should have done this are just things that I'm going to carry on to the next project. So that's why I'm kind of like, well, I would have never learned them if I didn't do them, you know? That's my logic behind that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of mistakes to pinpoint, you know, as something I should have done again or wish I could have done again. But like I said, I really value those mistakes because they taught me a lot and tenfold. And they're unforgettable because they hurt so bad. So I'll never ever do them again, you know?
Yeah. And I guess for you, in terms of, let's say a person is starting a SaaS from scratch, would you say they should focus on the product first, or do you think marketing, sales, offer is way more important than the product?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, product is a huge part, of course, of building a company. It's a huge part. Definitely, of course, you want to focus on to reverse engineer people, build things that they find interesting, because engineers, they love building things, and they love building random things. They don't really care what it is. They just want to build stuff and see it be done.
Yeah.
So I think reverse engineering that is like, hey, I want to build something. Well, wait, don't build anything yet. Let me try to figure out what I should build first. And talking to a lot of people. And that's also another issue, is like engineers are more so introverts, right? They don't really want to talk to people. Like, JN, for example, my boy that runs Drippy, he, like, the first thing I told him when he first started was like, dude, you got to take sales calls. Like, that's how he grew. Like, you got to take demo calls, bro. He's like, dude, I'm not taking demo calls. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Granted, he's still at a really great position now, but that's a dime a dozen, right? Like, that's not the usual, thing. Everyone is still taking demo calls. Even companies at 20 million ARR are taking demo calls, free demo calls, right? So yeah, I would say product is a huge thing, but definitely focus on the market first. You should want, like, reverse engineer everything. Like, focus on the market. What can you build for a specific group of people, a random specific group of people that you would never talk to, that you would never interact with in your life, and then talk to them and see how you could help. And then you start building a product once but even that part is kind of difficult, because there's a certain way that you should do it. Just because you ask people, would this help, and then you build it, doesn't mean that they pay you for it. So
Yeah.
some people, there's this huge misconception where people, they'll go out and talk to a bunch of people, build something, and then the people after they're done building it don't want to pay for it,
Yeah.
which sucks. But there's a lot of things you can tweak it. I guess you learn it once you start talking to people and interacting. But one of the ways that I like doing it instead of talking to people is just trying so mmany different things that you find problems yourself. I think that the easiest way, because when something is a problem to you, it's probably a problem to someone else.
Yeah.
But when you're talking to someone about it, you can't gauge the problem. You can't gauge how much of a problem it is, to what degree they would solve it, all those things. So trying a bunch of different things is probably like the number one thing, in my opinion, is trying a bunch of different, like, business models and different things just for fun, and then figuring something out from that,
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people, especially on Reddit, like indie hackers, a lot of people says, if I built this, would you be interested? And I see the comments, there's 50 comments that everybody says, oh yeah, I'll be interested, right? But nobody puts down their credit card, actually pays for something. So like, they have no skin in the game. So everybody says they'll be interested, but once the product comes out, once the pricing comes out, a lot of people probably won't put their credit card down, right? I think that's just like a misconception, that even though they want the product, are they willing to pay for that product? Are they willing to pay $5 a month? Are they willing to pay $99 a month for that solution? And I think that's like super important. I like how you brought that up, because I see it in the community all the time.
Yeah, those Reddit posts, and adding on to that, right? The Reddit post. I think one way you can really test if someone would pay for something is just cold email a ton of people that you imagine would buy something, right? And scrape their information, and then just relay the message as if the app has already been built. It's not going to hurt you. Like, you just say, hey, I have an app that does this, and this is just it doesn't even exist. You can't even send them anything after. But at least you send them a question to see if they would pay for something like this. And they say yes. So if you get like a bunch of responses off of that, you're like, holy crap, this is the winner here. And yeah, that's essentially what it is. You could really test if people would pay for it by faking that the product exists, asking them if they would purchase it on the cold email, essentially. And then going from there. Not a Reddit post. I don't fuck with Reddit at all. Like, Reddit is it's everyone's anonymous. Like, at this point, I don't even think anyone on the internet is real unless you have a real picture of yourself. Like, I can't even take you seriously.
Yeah. And then I think just send them a payment link if they're interested. If they pay, then maybe have something going, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Exactly.
Awesome. And I guess last question for you is, if you had one advice to give to, let's say, a SaaS entrepreneur that's just beginning, what is that one piece of advice you'll give?
Don't neglect marketing. I would say think about distribution before you build your product, because distribution is really the biggest thing. There's a lot of great products out there that are never ever going to get seen or used by anyone, which is unfortunate, of course, but distribution is much big. I mean, when you think of Prime, for example, this is outside of the SaaS space, but it's a shit drink in my opinion. But I do like, Logan Paul and KSI's come up. I think they're great. I think they're fun and, entertaining or whatever. But the Prime drink is not that good. But the guys that made it were like, all right, we're just gonna make this drink, whatever. It doesn't really matter how it tastes or whatever. It's gonna be decent. Doesn't have to be immaculate. And then we'll just have the best people, the biggest people in the world distribute it. So I think that's what the logic should be when you build something, is that you should build something. Of course, make sure that it's the right thing, but think about distribution as well in the very beginning. How would you market this? Are these people easy to target, easy to find? Are they easily influenced? Like, for example, if you build something for women, they're much more easily influenced. They'd probably buy it, or more so over men. So like, just thinking about the market and the product, distribution. I would say think about distribution before you build something. Don't just build something and then figure it out later. That's a huge thing.
Yeah. So TLDR is you need to get Infomail in order to get as many inboxes as possible to distribute and pitch people.
Exactly. Exactly. You can use mail for this. But yeah, I mean, it's not, and of course, I mean, thank you for that, Norman. But it's more so like, distribution could be different for each product. So if someone is like selling this, like one of my friends, Steven Kuroda, he did Puff Count app, recently sold it, and he distributed his whole product on TikTok, similar to your friend in Brazil, the water app. Right? Yeah. So that probably wouldn't work on cold email, most likely. I mean, it's a consumer app. So just make sure that distribution channel you choose is the one that works for you. And before you build your product, you kind of have your eyes on that,
Yeah, for sure. And then one thing is like, does the market you're currently targeting, do they have a lot of money? Like, let's say it's a one solution, and let's say we target roofers. I've talked to a lot of roofers in my agency when I was running it, and now it's kind of autopilot, but roofers have a lot of money, right? So for a roofer, I'm not going to charge them $50 a year. I'm going to charge them $1,000 a month, right? So it really depends on the niche you're in, and do they have the money? What type of benefit will they get from the service?
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. The amount of money that a company has, definitely go up market. You don't want to stay with people that have the least money. And for indie hackers, like everyone in Money Twitter knows this, right? Me and you know this. But the more a customer pays, the easier they are to deal with. The better results you can get because you have more profit. So an indie hacker might really not know that because they're worried about building product. They're the best engineers. So they're not going to really know. But yeah, you would want to charge $5,000 a month to one person rather than like $10 a month. Thinking that it's the same energy you'd find that $10 product person for that's going to pay 10 versus $5,000. So just go for like the up market. People that pay the most, and they won't hit you up as much. They won't be in support all crazy. That's what engineers also hate. They don't want people in support all the time. Yeah. So you'll save yourself a lot of that by just making it super expensive. But of course, like, with merit, you want to make it expensive for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. I know those customer support requests from like the people on the lowest tier plan, it always comes through. They have the most amount of questions. But the people that pay like an enterprise plan, they pay the invoice, no questions.
Yeah, exactly. The death of a product is when you launch on Product Hunt or some shit like, or like, shit like
unlimited requests for customer support.
Yeah, it gets crazy. It's like, damn, dude, like you launched on Product Hunt, like good luck, dude.
Awesome. I guess to wrap up the podcast, Caduce, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about Infomail? And so so bitbankclub.com is where I write. I love that channel. But if you are interested in more video format, I do talk you could go to Caduce X Rated on YouTube, and it's basically all of the trials and tribulations of running a SaaS and my thoughts and really everything about my life. And on Twitter at Caduce Pro at Life. If you like Twitter, I don't really bang that out there as much, but it's decent. And then Instagram is Caduce Tings, so KIDOUSTINGS. You can follow me there. But yeah, the best I would say is my Caduce X-Rated channel and also my bitbankclub.com newsletter. That's my favorite. But yeah, that's where you can find me. I appreciate you having me, Norman. Thank you, man. That was fun. Thanks for coming. Lots of knowledge dropped.